I'm Heather, and this is a Living with Addiction podcast, where I show you how you have more power than you realize when it comes to helping yourself and your child that's struggling with addiction. Hey, everybody. So today I had one of those life truth moments where I could really see how unhealthy something I was doing was. And I think it's a great topic for a podcast because we all do it in different ways. I've been holding on to something that was killing me because it felt too hard to let it go. So I've been living with my sister and her wife since a few days before my surgery. So it's been over a month now that I've been living with them. I could have moved home a while ago, but my dogs are happy there and I'm enjoying being around them. And I like the emotional support, so I've stayed. But I was at my house getting some things together for my surgery tomorrow, and I found my estrogen and progesterone pills. And I had weaned off of them a few weeks before my surgery, but I couldn't bring myself to throw them away. And the insanity of that really hit me hard. I didn't want to throw them away because I was seeking a sense of control in the situation with my breast cancer. I was still holding on to the idea that maybe somehow I could take those pills again. But I really know there's no way that I can ever take them again. But I was hoping that maybe somehow everything could be the way it used to be again, and I wouldn't have to change. And that's just my humanness. Like when I don't want something to change, I resist it. And in the past, like with my daughter's addiction, I resisted change until I realized I was fighting a battle that I couldn't win. The thing is, like, by the time I saw that, my life was a total mess. I didn't like what I was doing to myself. It took me so long to see it. I mean, at least this time I learned a lot faster. And the reason I take hormones is because I went through menopause by the time I was 40. I'm not sure why it happened when I was so young. It just did. Who knows? I mean, maybe going through menopause so young would have saved me from getting breast cancer if I had never taken bioidentical hormones. But I just don't go there because it's just like when we try to figure out exactly where our kids' addiction started. You know, we try to figure it out so that we can fix it, but what we end up doing is finding all of the reasons that it's our fault. And, we just end up feeling awful about ourselves. And breast cancer is the same way. So I just don't do it to myself. And just like with my daughter's addiction, what I focus on is solutions. What steps do I need to take to ensure the best possible outcome? Those steps are my focus in any situation. I don't waste my time spinning my wheels trying to figure out something that I will never figure out and something that just hurts me in the long run. All right, so back to menopause. And I'm just going to apologize to the men who are listening, but I promise if you listen with an open mind, you can get something out of this. So just hang in there. And I felt like hell without my natural hormones when I went through menopause. I gained a ton of weight. I felt like I was aging quicker. I wasn't sleeping. My hair was falling out. I had brain fog. It just seemed like physically everything was going wrong. I felt like I was falling apart. So when I started taking bioidentical hormones and suddenly felt amazing, it was like finding the fountain of youth. Like it made it easier for me to start healthy habits in my life. So I've given the hormones a lot of credit. I've given them a lot of power. But when I found out I had breast cancer and that it was estrogen and progesterone positive, which means that it loves those hormones and it feeds on them, I was devastated at the thought that I would have to go back to feeling the way I did before. I was totally resistant to letting the hormones go. I was clinging to something that my breast cancer was feeding on. And I knew that nobody would prescribe me hormones knowing that I had breast cancer or had ever had it in my life. So I even thought about how I could lie and get them. And because I was diagnosed at one of the biggest health networks in the area, I knew I'd have to find a doctor that wasn't connected to that network and lie to them. And I'm not proud of that I went down that road and was even, fantasizing about such a dishonest scheme that would have been so harmful to me. I don't think it was a good idea. I'm just sharing how desperate I felt and being really honest at how much power I was giving to my hormone pills and how I was clinging to something that was clearly causing me harm. And I was praying that the test would show that my receptors would have a really low percentage for how much they liked hormones, because I was thinking that even then maybe I could cling to it and keep taking them. Well, that did not happen. My receptors were 100% estrogen and progesterone positive. I mean, it can be as low as 1% or anywhere between 1 and 100, and mine was 100%. That means my cancer loved hormones. So when I got that news for the first time, I became willing to quit taking my pills because my doctor explained to me that if there was any stray cells of breast cancer anywhere in my body outside of the area that I was having surgery on, like say you can get breast cancer anywhere in your body, there could be some cells in my leg. If I kept taking those hormones, I would be feeding that cancer that might not otherwise ever grow. Yet, I couldn't throw away the pills that I had left over after I finished weaning off them. So I put them in my drawer and I forgot about them until today when I found them. And the second I picked them up, I thought, wow, this stuff was killing me. And I felt the need to save it because I needed a sense of control and I was giving it so much power. And then I asked myself, like, how else am I doing that in my life? Where else am I clinging to something that isn't good for me because it gives me a false sense of control? What else am I giving so much power to that doesn't deserve it? And here's the truth. So far, I don't feel any different since I quit taking the hormones. Nothing is different. And for 4 long months, I agonized over my belief that not taking my hormones was going to seriously impact my quality of life in a lot of negative ways. But since I live a much more balanced life than I did when I started taking them, I'm fine. Now that my body doesn't have all those hormonal ups and downs, and I live a life focused on mental and physical health, I sleep 8 hours a night, I work out regularly, I eat healthy, I'm always working on my mental health, I meditate. I wasn't doing any of those things before. That's a huge part of the reason I felt so awful. We always have so much more power than we realize. Our minds and our bodies are capable of amazing things. Like just watching my body heal over the last month and the changes in my, like what I was able to do from one day to the next is amazing to me. So I just want you to ask yourself, like, what are you clinging to that's killing you? Maybe not literally killing you, but causing you great stress and stealing your quality of life. Are you staying caught up in unhealthy relationship patterns because you don't believe you can change the pattern? Are you trying to control your child's addiction, but really it's controlling you? Are you going to work every day hating your job but ignoring that you have a choice in whether you go or not. Or you could change jobs, but you choose not to. There's always choices, even when you don't like your options. Or do you replay negative stories about yourself that keep you stuck and unhappy? What is it that you need to let go of? I threw away my pills today. What are you going to throw away? That's all I have for you this week. I hope that you have a great rest of the week, and I will be back next week. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to learn more about my work, go to heatherrosscoaching.com. If you want to help other parents who are struggling with a child's addiction, you can do it 2 different ways. First, you can share the podcast with them directly, or you can share it on your social media. Second, you can leave a review. Talk to you next week.